What if I told you that one woman quietly changed Hollywood without ever following its rules? That while others chased fame, she went after something much more valuable. Today, we share the untold story of Lisa Bonet, the mystery who walked away from stardom when it was at its highest point and built something amazing instead. By the end of this video, you'll understand why famous people still ask for her advice and how her unusual choices created a legacy worth millions. This isn't just celebrity gossip, it's a lesson in real living you won't find anywhere else. Keep watching until the end to discover the one choice that changed everything. Hello to all my returning subscribers and welcome to anyone new. Before we dig into Lisa Bonet's amazing journey in 2025, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. I promise what you're about to learn will completely change how you see celebrity culture and success. Lisa Bonet has always been hard to figure out in Hollywood. While many run toward the spotlight, she's always chosen to stay in the shadow, and somehow, that choice has made her more interesting than those desperately seeking fame. Today we're taking a special look into the life, choices, and thinking of a woman who created her own definition of success. Born Lisa Michelle Bonet on November 16, 1967, in San Francisco, to an African-American father and Jewish mother, Lisa's mixed background would later become part of what made her such a powerful cultural figure. But before the fame and fortune, she was simply a young girl with an extraordinary presence. People who knew her then say there was always something magnetic about her a quiet confidence that couldn't be taught. Growing up in a time when mixed-race children often felt caught between worlds, Lisa found strength in her unique identity. Her childhood friends remember her as someone who never tried to fit in. She simply was who she was, take it or leave it. This early comfort with standing apart would become the foundation for her entire life philosophy. As a teenager, Lisa began taking acting classes, not because she dreamed of Hollywood fame, but because she felt drawn to the art of storytelling. Her teachers quickly noticed her natural talent and unique energy. Unlike many young actors who learned to copy what was popular, Lisa brought something entirely her own to each role, a quality that couldn't be faked or taught. Her big break came at just 16 years old, when she was cast as Denise Huxtable in The Cosby Show. Overnight, she became America's daughter, her bohemian style and free-spirited energy capturing millions of viewers weekly. What many don't realize is how revolutionary her character was for the time. A young black woman expressing individuality in ways television hadn't previously shown. Without saying a word about politics, her very presence was making statements about race, beauty standards, and being true to yourself. The show's creators originally planned for Denise to be a more conventional character, but Lisa's natural personality was so compelling that they rewrote the role to match her energy. Viewers connected deeply with Denise because they were actually connecting with Lisa's authentic spirit. In an era of perfectly polished TV teens, she brought a realness that felt revolutionary. Behind the scenes, Lisa was already showing signs of the independent thinking that would define her career. While other young stars followed publicists' advice about crafting the perfect image, Lisa remained stubbornly herself, wearing what felt right, speaking her truth, and maintaining boundaries even when it wasn't convenient for producers or the press. As The Cosby Show grew into a cultural phenomenon, Lisa found herself faced with a challenge many young stars encountered: the gap between public perception and personal reality. Millions of viewers felt they knew her, but what they knew was a character, not the complex young woman navigating sudden fame and trying to discover her own identity. But Lisa wasn't happy being defined by a single role. At the height of her fame on one of television's most successful shows, she made a decision that executives called career suicide. She left to pursue her own path. This pattern of choosing authenticity over expectation would define her entire career and life. Looking back now in 2025, we can see just how powerful that philosophy has been. Her decision to leave wasn't made lightly. Friends from that time recall Lisa spending months in deep reflection, weighing not just career implications, but also her personal need for growth and exploration. While producers offered increased pay and more prominent storylines to keep her, Lisa recognized that true freedom would require a complete break. The entertainment press was merciless, painting her as ungrateful or foolish. Industry insiders predicted she'd come crawling back when reality set in. What they failed to understand was that Lisa wasn't rejecting success. She was redefining it according to her own values rather than Hollywood's expectations. After leaving the show, Lisa faced the challenge that tests every former child star, establishing an adult identity both personally and professionally. Rather than taking the safest path, she made the bold choice to star in Angel Heart, alongside Mickey Rourke, a film that couldn't have been further from the family-friendly image of The Cosby Show. The controversial film generated exactly the kind of publicity most young actresses would avoid at all costs, but for Lisa, the artistic integrity of the project mattered more than maintaining a squeaky clean image. This willingness to risk public opinion for artistic truth would become a hallmark of her approach to both career and life. Her relationship with musician Lenny Kravitz began when she was just 20, another example of Lisa following her heart, rather than Hollywood's playbook. They eloped in Las Vegas on her 21st birthday. No big ceremony, no media circus, just two young artists committing to each other. Their daughter Zoe was born in 1988, and though the marriage lasted only a few years, it created one of the most respectful co-parenting relationships in Hollywood history. Today Zoe Kravitz stands as proof of that foundation, an accomplished actress, director and fashion icon in her own right. What many people don't know is that during the years following her divorce from Lenny, Lisa turned down countless roles that would have kept her A-list status. Why? Because they didn't match her values. In an industry where women are often pressured to take whatever keeps them relevant, Lisa was quietly revolutionary, choosing artistic integrity over fame, depth over visibility. This period was challenging financially, as Lisa prioritized being present for young Zoe over pursuing acting opportunities that would have meant long separations. Friends recall her living simply, often turning down lucrative offers that conflicted with her parenting schedule. While Hollywood moms were expected to hire nannies and keep working, Lisa made the countercultural choice to be physically and emotionally present during her daughter's formative years. Despite limited resources compared to her Cosby Show days, Lisa created a home filled with art, music, and meaningful conversation. Zoe's childhood friends remember Lisa's house as a place where creativity was encouraged, and children were spoken to with the same respect as adults. A parenting approach that was ahead of its time. By the early 2000s, Lisa had stepped further back from mainstream Hollywood, focusing on raising Zoe and pursuing spiritual practices that fed her soul rather than her bank account. Her Venice Beach home became known as a peaceful place for artists seeking authenticity, a place where conversations went deeper than box office numbers or Instagram followers. Lisa's home reflected her values in every detail, filled with treasures collected during her travels, books on philosophy and spirituality, and spaces designed for conversation and connection, rather than entertainment. Unlike the showplace mansions of most celebrities, her residence was a true home, comfortable, lived in, and radiating warmth. During this period of intentional semi-seclusion, she met Jason Momoa, Their connection was immediate and deep, though they kept their relationship mostly private for years. Together they welcomed daughter Lola in 2007 and son Nakoa Wolf in 2008. Though they didn't legally marry until 2017, they lived as a committed family for over a decade before making it official. What made their relationship so fascinating to the public was how different it was from celebrity norms. Here was this intensely private woman partnered with an increasingly famous action star, yet they managed to create a family dynamic built on mutual respect and protection from the spotlight's harsh glare. Their home became known as a place where electronic devices were limited, where nature and creativity were prioritized, and where both children and adults were encouraged to express their true selves. Industry insiders have long whispered about Lisa's influence on those around her. Actors who've spent time in her presence speak of her as a kind of spiritual guide, someone who helped them reconnect with why they became artists in the first place. Even as she stepped further from the cameras, her impact on Hollywood's culture grew stronger. Some convert to both culture grew stronger. Her home reportedly became a place where A-listers would visit not to network, but to ground themselves, a remarkable contrast in an industry built on constant visibility. These gatherings weren't the typical Hollywood parties focused on being seen with the right people, but intimate conversations about art, purpose, and creating work with meaningful impact. Young actresses facing the same pressures Lisa had encountered decades earlier sought her advice on navigating an industry that often asked them to compromise their values for success. Without publicity or fanfare, she became a mentor to a generation of performers, trying to maintain their authenticity in a system designed to package and sell them. This quiet influence extended beyond individual relationships to impact projects themselves. Directors and producers who spent time in Lisa's orbit often emerged with shifted perspectives on their work, placing greater emphasis on representation, ethical production practices, and storytelling with social relevance. When Lisa and Jason announced their separation in January 2022, they did so with the same integrity that had characterized their relationship. No tabloid drama, no public battles over money or accusations, just two adults acknowledging that relationships evolve and sometimes end. Their statement emphasized continued love and respect, setting yet another example of how to handle life's challenges with grace. The months following their separation demonstrated exactly how committed both remained to their families' well-being above public opinion. While celebrity splits typically generate endless tabloid speculation, Lisa and Jason's focused entirely on creating stability for their children during the transition. Their approach to co-parenting remained just as thoughtful as their approach to parenting had been during their relationship. Friends observed that both parents maintained consistent presence in their children's lives, coordinating schedules to ensure neither missed important moments, and presenting a united front despite their personal differences. This period revealed another layer of Lisa's wisdom, her understanding that endings can be handled with as much intention and care as beginnings. By refusing to engage in the drama typically expected of celebrity breakups, she once again modeled an alternative way of moving through life's inevitable challenges. Now in 2025, Lisa maintains properties that reflect her philosophy of intentional living. Her primary residence remains in the hills outside Los Angeles, a stunning blend of natural architecture that seems to grow from the landscape itself. Natural materials, open spaces that blur the line between indoors and outdoors, and a remarkable absence of technological intrusion characterize her living spaces. People close to her say the home has no televisions in common areas, and limited Wi-Fi access, continuing her lifelong commitment to being present rather than distracted. What's particularly noteworthy about Lisa's real estate choices is their focus on sustainability. Long before it became trendy in Hollywood, she was using solar power, water collection systems, and organic gardens. Her second home, a secluded property in New Mexico's high desert, is almost entirely self-sufficient, showing her belief that wealth creates responsibility rather than privilege. Lisa's fashion sense has always been ahead of its time. What's remarkable is how little it has changed over decades. Not because she hasn't evolved, but because true style lasts beyond trends. The bohemian elements that defined her look in the 1980s have been refined rather than replaced. In 2025, at 57 years old, she remains a style icon precisely because she dresses for herself rather than others. Her wardrobe emphasizes ethically made natural fabrics, vintage pieces, and handcrafted jewelry, often created by indigenous artisans she directly supports. What about her finances? While Lisa has never been one to show off wealth, financial experts estimate her net worth in 2025 at approximately $14 million. This figure represents careful investment rather than aggressive earning. Another way she's gone against celebrity norms. Unlike many who use their fame for constant income streams, Lisa has chosen quality over quantity throughout her career. She's turned down countless endorsement deals that didn't align with her values, even when they offered substantial paydays. This selective approach extends to her investments as well. Rather than maximizing returns at any cost, Lisa has consistently chosen to put her money into companies and projects that reflect her environmental and social values. Her car collection reflects the same philosophy as her homes: thoughtful minimalism rather than showy consumption. She's been seen driving a vintage Mercedes converted to run on sustainable biofuel, and more recently, one of the new limited production electric vehicles made with reclaimed materials. True to form, she chose substance over flash-mitted vehicles selected for their environmental impact rather than status symbol potential. What many people misunderstand about Lisa is that her stepping back from Hollywood wasn't about rejecting success, it was about redefining it. In an industry that measures worth by constant visibility and commercial appeal, she chose to measure it by personal fulfillment and positive impact. The result is a life that, viewed from 2025, seems remarkably ahead of its time. While many of her contemporaries burned out chasing relevance, Lisa cultivated sustainability in every sense. Her children have all embraced aspects of her philosophy while finding their own paths. Zoe has become a powerhouse in Hollywood, but with her mother's careful choosing about which projects truly matter. Lola has largely avoided the spotlight, but is making significant contributions in environmental science. Nakoa Wolf is emerging as a visual artist whose work reflects both parents' cultural influences while establishing his own unique vision. The success of Lisa's children offers perhaps the clearest validation of her unconventional approach. Unlike many celebrity offspring who struggle with identity and purpose, her children display remarkable groundedness and clarity about their paths. Friends attribute this to the way Lisa created a home where fame was never treated as an achievement, but rather as a tool that could be used wisely or foolishly. Zoe in particular has spoken about how her mother's example shaped her approach to Hollywood. Despite achieving the A-list status her mother walked away from, she brings a similar selectivity to her projects and maintains boundaries that protect her creative spirit from the industry's demands. This generational evolution represents Lisa's most meaningful legacy, proving that one can engage with Hollywood on one's own terms. Recent years have seen Lisa become more selective but intentional in her professional choices. Rather than taking acting roles, she's moved increasingly into production, using her influence to create opportunities for voices traditionally left out in Hollywood. Sources close to several streaming platforms confirm she's been developing content that focuses on indigenous stories and environmental themes. projects she insists on producing with minimal ecological impact. This transition from in front of the camera to behind it reflects Lisa's evolving understanding of how to create meaningful change. Rather than being the face of stories, she's now creating space for others to tell theirs, particularly those from communities whose perspectives have been historically marginalized in mainstream media. Her production company, though small by Hollywood standards, has gained respect for its commitment to ethical practices. From hiring diverse crews to implementing green production methods, Lisa has created a model for how content can be created without the exploitative practices that have long characterized the industry. In her personal life, Lisa has found a new chapter that honors her past while embracing her future. After her separation from Jason Momoa, she took time for personal healing and growth. Unlike many celebrities who quickly replace one relationship with another, Lisa spent nearly 2 years focused entirely on herself, her children, and her spiritual practices. Those close to her describe this as a period of profound transformation, not a breakdown, but a breakthrough. This period included extensive travel to places of spiritual significance, where Lisa deepened practices she'd been exploring for decades. Friends describe her returning from these journeys with renewed clarity and purpose, evidence of her commitment to inner work rather than external validation. In late 2023, Lisa was first spotted with environmental architect Gabriel Martinez at a climate action conference. Their connection developed naturally through shared values and vision, rather than Hollywood networking. Gabriel, respected in sustainability circles but virtually unknown to the general public, represents Lisa's continued commitment to substance over status. Their relationship has remained largely private, though sources confirm they formalized their commitment in an intimate ceremony at her New Mexico property in early 2024. What makes their partnership particularly meaningful is how it embodies Lisa's lifelong philosophy. Gabriel's work designing regenerative communities aligns perfectly with her vision of responsible living. Together they've launched initiatives connecting indigenous wisdom with modern sustainability practices, creating models for how wealth and influence can serve community rather than ego. Beyond her public identity, Lisa has developed a reputation as something of a modern mystic among those who know her well. Her daily practice reportedly includes not just meditation, but various forms of energy work she's studied with teachers across multiple traditions. This spiritual foundation isn't something she discusses publicly, but those in her circle describe experiencing a noticeable sense of calm and clarity in her presence. This aspect of her life seems particularly relevant in 2025, as more celebrities openly embrace various spiritual practices that Lisa has quietly cultivated for decades. Unlike those who treat spirituality as the latest trend to showcase on social media, Lisa's practice remains deeply personal and lived rather than performed for public consumption. Her spiritual journey has always been characterized by depth rather than dogma. Rather than adhering strictly to any single tradition, she synthesized wisdom from various sources to create a personal practice centered on presence, compassion, and connection to something larger than herself. This approach mirrors her broader life philosophy of choosing what resonates truthfully rather than what others expect. Her approach to social media deserves special attention, as it exemplifies her countercultural stance. In an era when digital presence often determines relevance, Lisa has maintained a complete absence from all platforms. This isn't a passive choice, but an active one. Sources confirm she's turned down 7-figure offers to create content for various platforms. This rejection of what most consider essential to modern celebrity has paradoxically increased her mystique and influence. Those seeking her wisdom must do so through direct relationship, rather than curated posts. Another way she ensures authenticity remains her currency. This stance has become increasingly radical as social media has grown more central to celebrity culture. While her contemporaries struggle with the pressure to constantly present perfectly curated versions of themselves online, Lisa has completely opted out of the system, creating space for a privacy that has become almost extinct among public figures. The impact of this choice extends beyond her own peace of mind to influence younger celebrities who've begun questioning the psychological cost of constant digital exposure. Several rising stars cite Lisa's example when explaining their own decisions to limit their social media presence, suggesting her countercultural choice may be slowly shifting the broader culture. Lisa's philanthropy has always flown under the radar. Another way she's differentiated herself from celebrities who publicize every donation. Investigation reveals she's been the anonymous benefactor behind several major initiatives supporting indigenous rights, environmental protection, and arts education in underserved communities. Rather than creating a foundation in her name, she's consistently chosen to support existing grassroots organizations, amplifying rather than replacing community leadership. This approach to giving reflects Lisa's broader understanding that real change rarely comes from top-down solutions. By supporting organizations already doing effective work in communities, she leverages her resources without centering herself in narratives of salvation or rescue that often characterize celebrity philanthropy. Her giving focuses particularly on initiatives that preserve indigenous knowledge and protect sacred lands from development. Friends report that Lisa sees these efforts not as charity, but as essential work to preserve wisdom that modern society desperately needs as we face mounting environmental crises. Her approach to aging has been equally revolutionary in an industry obsessed with youth. Lisa has embraced each stage of life with grace, publicly rejecting cosmetic procedures, and speaking instead about the wisdom that comes with time. Her rare appearances show a woman comfortable in her skin, lines and all. This stance becomes increasingly powerful as we move through 2025, when so many celebrities her age remain trapped in desperate attempts to look decades younger. In a culture that renders women increasingly invisible as they age, Lisa's comfort with her changing appearance represents a profound form of resistance. By refusing to erase the evidence of her life experience from her face, she challenges the narrative that a woman's value diminishes with youth and reproductive potential. This stance particularly impacts younger women in the industry, who report feeling less anxiety about aging after seeing Lisa's example. By demonstrating that beauty evolves rather than expires, she's creating space for a more expansive understanding of female attractiveness that includes the character and wisdom that only time can develop. Lisa's relationship with fame itself reveals perhaps the most instructive aspect of her journey. Unlike many who experience early stardom, only to spend decades trying to recapture it, she seems to have understood something essential about its limitations from the beginning. By stepping away at precisely the moment when most would have leveraged their position for greater visibility, she demonstrated an understanding of fame as a tool rather than an end in itself. This wisdom has allowed her to use her cultural capital selectively and intentionally, maintaining influence without the burden of constant public scrutiny. Her reading habits offer another window into her worldview. Those close to her describe an extensive library focused on indigenous wisdom traditions, environmental philosophy, and ancient healing practices. She's known to exchange books with a small circle of intellectuals and artists, creating an informal salon culture reminiscent of earlier eras. This commitment to depth over breadth extends to her conversations, which friends describe as remarkably present and focused to qualities increasingly rare in our distracted culture. What can we learn from Lisa Bonet's journey when viewed from 2025? Perhaps the most powerful lesson is patience. While our culture celebrates overnight success and constant visibility, Lisa's story demonstrates the power of the long game. By consistently choosing authenticity over expectation, she built something far more valuable than fame. She built a life of meaning. Her legacy isn't measured in box office numbers or social media followers, but in the lives she's touched through her example. The young actresses who found courage to turn down exploitative roles because Lisa showed it was possible. The environmental initiatives that succeeded because she funded them without requiring public credit. The blended family dynamics that function with love rather than obligation. These are the true measures of her impact. As we wrap up this deep dive into Lisa Bonet's extraordinary life in 2025, I want to leave you with the one decision that truly changed everything for her. Early in her career, when faced with tremendous pressure to conform, Lisa made a choice that would define everything that followed. She decided that her piece would never be for sale, not for fame, not for fortune, not for others' approval. That single decision to value inner alignment over external validation created the foundation for everything we've explored today. Before we end, I have a question for you. What part of your authentic self have you been compromising for external approval? What would your life look like if, like Lisa, you chose alignment over acceptance? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read and respond to as many as I can. If you found value in today's exploration, please support the channel by liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. Your engagement helps us continue creating content that goes beyond surface-level celebrity coverage to find the meaningful lessons in extraordinary lives. This has been more than just a look at Lisa Bonet's lifestyle in 2025. It's been an exploration of what happens when someone has the courage to write their own rules. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, remember that true wealth isn't what you own, but how aligned you are with your authentic self. If this video changed how you think about success, hit subscribe now, and join our community of deeper thinkers. Next week we're exploring another cultural icon who redefined the rules. You won't want to miss it.